Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Friday Fix. I'm Joe Lenahan, president of Ulico Investment Advisors, and with me today is Herb Colvin. Herb is the senior VP for Ulico's Real Estate Investment Group, and he is the manager of Ulico's flagship investment product, J for Jobs. Herb, welcome to the Friday Fix.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's good to see you. It's nice to be in person in our DC office.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, why don't we get started, Herb? Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the commercial real estate sector?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story, if I do say so myself. I mean, I was born in Vienna, Austria. My parents immigrated to Canada when I was about 6 years old. We came in steerage. I mean, when I saw the movie The Titanic, I understood what the lower class was all about, having been there with bunk beds and all that. Big room with many others. But anyway, so we landed in Montreal, lived there for next 18 years or so, went to school there, got my MBA there. And when I got my MBA, I said, why am I here shoveling snow? I said, I know there's a place down south called Miami. Let me go down there. And that's what I did. And when I got down there, I went to a recruiter. Now my background was in marketing, in undergraduate and economics, and then when I got my MBA, it was finance and so on. But you have to understand, when I was at school, real estate was not taught as a subject. So when I went to a recruiter, headhunter, I was offered two jobs: one working at a bank in the finance area, and one in the real estate area of a real estate investment trust. Again, I knew nothing really about commercial real estate. But they offered me better opportunity there. So that's where I started. And I was there in training for about a year and a half. And a year and a half later, I was moved up to head up the office, Miami office. We were located in Miami Beach, running the Southeast and the Caribbean for them, primarily Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. And it turned out to be a great beginning.
Well, how did you end up at Ulico?
Well, that's an interesting story. I mean, I worked at Citibank for many years down in Miami, and I got transferred to DC. I left there in 1990, went to work for Merrill National Financial. They own American Security Bank and Merrill National Bank. I got recruited to do workouts there, but I did that for about 3 years, and then we were acquired by Bank of America. And I was offered the opportunity to go to Charlotte. And I didn't want to do that because we had settled here. I moved up here in '86, and we had two kids, 4 and 6 years old, and they just had their friends and so on. I'm sitting at my desk, and again, the phone rang, and it was a recruiter saying I had been referred to them for this opening at Union Labor Life. And so I went down, interviewed, and that's all she wrote. I've been here since 1993.
Wow, that's serendipity.
Yes, it is serendipity.
Well, despite your youthful appearance, I'm told you've seen many of real estate cycles, and I'm wondering, what was the most challenging real estate cycle that you worked in, and how does that compare today? I mean, with the real estate and the pandemic and the current environment that we have.
Well, I've been in about 5 of them over my career, and each one had its own challenges. I think the worst one we had was the one before this one. Was what our CEO and president refers to as a tsunami, and that was a total meltdown in liquidity in the financial markets and so on. With the government coming in and rescuing banks and corporations and so on, and getting it through. And it was a time when liquidity was a problem, but people were still traveling, people were still dining, people were still going to hotels, taking vacations, et cetera, et cetera. So while unemployment rose, things moved along. This pandemic is been totally different. It's something that many of us, including myself, have never come across. First of all, it's global. And how do you attack a virus that you can't see. There was a total lockdown. There was liquidity in the marketplace, but there was no place to go and spend money. I mean, hotels closed down, restaurants closed down, people stayed home, and so on and so on. So it wasn't a question of would we survive, but how would we survive? You had people working remotely, and people were working. Things were getting done. Like we here at Ulico, we closed down, went remote went remote in March of 2020. And here we are today. We functioned quite well over those 18 months. So it's just a different environment today. You have a different setup today with computers, and you can work remotely and so on. And it makes you think about what the future is going to look like for real estate.
Are you seeing any signs of improvement right now in the commercial real estate sector?
Absolutely. In the last 2 months, some of the apartment building, multifamily rental buildings in our portfolio, where they were all doing fine, trending from 85 to 90% occupancy, but they were offering 2 to 3 months concessions. In the last 90 days, concessions have basically been eliminated, or maybe 1 month. Occupancy has gone into the low to mid 90s, and we're seeing rent increases too. And what's part of that is the fact that we're seeing in-migration back to the cities. New York is experiencing a rebirth, not a rebirth, but people coming back into the city, as in San Francisco and so on, which is all are good signs. Hotels, whereas during the pandemic, hotels were struggling, some closed. We had to work out, certain agreements from a debt standpoint with the hotel owners. But now they're all basically breaking even. Now, so they're still at this point in time paying debt service out of pocket, but they're also starting to amortize the interest that we kind of deferred from to them during that difficult period. So occupancy trends are going up. We're seeing 60, 70% occupancy in some areas, some hotels. Employment figures are going up. Restaurants, it's hard to get a reservation in certain restaurants. So it's definitely coming back. Obviously, the vaccine has helped a lot.
Well, that's good. That's good. In terms of property types and location, what do you and your team of professionals see as attractive value for pension plans right now?
Well, right now the multifamily rentals are the flavor of the month. There's a good demand for those, and I've always liked multifamily because the downside risk in that is the lowest. Right? Now, having said that, that's some of that we're focusing on that. What else is there? There's a demand for industrial warehouse space. The docks are full of containers. People want to get out, get to their warehouses. So there's demand for warehouses, warehouse growth, storage, multifamily, storage for people, empty nesters and so on, who want to go into either retirement communities, sell that, or downsize their living space. They don't want to get rid of their stuff that had accumulated all those years, so they go into the storage business. On the other hand, I think office buildings, Class A office buildings, have opportunity. I think the B and C type office buildings are in big trouble. But the question there is, what is the impact of remote working going to be? How is that going to come back in terms of occupancy in the office market? We're seeing a good rebound in condominiums, for sale housing. Manhattan is coming back really nice. I mean, they had a record quarter. Third quarter had a record, the best quarter they've ever had in terms of sales and so on. And prices have gone up there too. It's good, strong demand for that. The unknown right now is hotels. When are those going to come back? We're not looking at new hotels. That's not to say we wouldn't do a new hotel with the right sponsor and the right location and with the right economics. And we're very proud of how we came through the pandemic because we only had one default, and that was a hotel in Chicago, which is now, we think we're seeing the light for the end of the tunnel. It's being restructured with new equity going in, new sponsor and so on. And we're gonna come out whole on that. So there's opportunity in the hotel sector for the right product with the right developer. As far as location is concerned, where do we usually go? I mean, where the unions are strong, and that's New York, Philadelphia. We're seeing opportunity in Philadelphia. Boston's a great town for life science and so on. San Francisco is coming back too. We're seeing office markets start to improve there also. So it's and even Los Angeles is starting this. The building trades in Los Angeles are very strong and are doing a great job of getting the message out among the community.
All of the guests that we have on the Friday Fix, I ask them the following question for their respective asset classes where they manage. What reasons would you give a pension plan to convince them that, privately negotiated mortgages are good asset allocation for their pension plan or, health and welfare plan? What makes that an attractive offering for institutional investors, and especially the ones that we see in our marketplace?
Well, I'll tell you, what we do are first mortgages, and we are at the top of the food chain. We're in the last loss position. I mean, if you're doing deals, say, with 30%, 35% equity in there, and you say it's a $100 million project, I mean, you got $30 to $35 million worth of equity, cash equity behind you. And so that's a nice dip that's going to have to go through in order to get to your loan.
Right.
And the fact that you have control over the project, you have control over the process. We're not a CMBS lender. We don't dice and slice and package them out to third parties. And so when the developer has a problem, he doesn't know who to call. He calls us. The developer calls us. We're great with service. We're very responsive. And, that's why 65% of our clients are repeat clients. Some of them have been with us as long as I've been here, 25, 26 years. Mm-hmm. And they appreciate that. We appreciate them.
Well, I mean, you have a wealth of experience in the commercial real estate sector. And I was wondering if you could, give a little advice to the maybe younger members of our audience that are contemplating pursuing an investment career in commercial real estate. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say to them, stay away from the banks, only because the banks have no heart. When a problem arises and they'll just get rid of you at a win. I mean, company institutions like Ullico, I mean, we have hearts, and we have a heart. We have many hearts here, and we have a mission. And the mission, it's interesting, when I was hired or was being interviewed, I looked at the concept of this J for Jobs. And my dad was a Teamster, my mom was a union cashier growing up. And I thought, what a great idea to take union pension money and recycle it back into the system, creating union jobs. And so, and real estate in and of itself, you can see where your money is going. If you're a corporate lender, you're doing cash flow lending or balance sheet lending, you're looking at a balance sheet and you're saying, okay, I'll give 100 million here or 50 million there. You don't know where that money's going. But when you're a real estate lender and you finance a project, and then you get to walk that project, and you see the workers there, and earning a good salary, a decent wage, able to make their rent payments, able to make their mortgage payments, able to send their kids to school and so on, and realize that you were a part of that. And that is gratifying in and of itself. So real estate is challenging, but it's also can be fun, and you could see what you're doing. I mean, I'll give you a little side note. When there's times when I would take people to various cities, take some of my crew to various cities and so on, and we walk around the city, and I say, "Hey, I did that building. I financed that building," and to me, it was like, give me a sense of pride.
Sure.
So, I say, be good. Get smart, keep your nose clean, and go into real estate.
I like it. I like it. Well, that's all we have for today. I want to thank our guest, Herb Colvin, for sharing his thoughts on his career and, investing in the commercial real estate sector that he's done for Ullico for so many years. For more information, please contact us at ullico.com. In the meantime, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And that's it for this edition of the Friday Fix. See you next time. Thank you.